Sitting on the side of the highway waiting to catch speeding drivers, a state police officer sees a car puttering along at 22 miles an hour. He thinks to himself, "This driver is just as dangerous as a speeder." So he turns on his lights and pulls the driver over. Approaching the car, he notices that there are 5 old ladies, 2 in the front seat and 3 in the back, wide-eyed and white as ghosts. The driver, obviously confused, says to him, "Officer, I don't understand. I was doing exactly the speed limit. What seems to be the problem?" "Ma'am," the officer replies, "you weren't speeding, but you should know that driving slower than the speed limit can also be a danger to other drivers." "Slower than the speed limit?" "No, sir. I was doing the speed limit exactly, 22 miles an hour," the old woman says indignantly. The state police officer, trying to contain a chuckle, explains to her that 22 was the route number, not the speed limit. A bit embarrassed, the woman smiled awkwardly and thanked the officer for pointing out her error. The officer then says, "But before I let you go, ma'am, I have to ask, is everyone in this car all right?" These women seem awfully shaken, and they haven't muttered a single peep this whole time. The old lady explains, "Oh, they'll be all right in a minute, officer. It's because we just exited Route 119. A nun, badly needing to use the restroom, walked into a local Hooters. The place was hopping with music and loud conversation, and every once in a while, the lights would turn off. Each time the lights would go out, the place would erupt into cheers. However, when the revelers saw the nun, the room went dead silent. She walked up to the bartender and asked, "May I please use the restroom?" The bartender replied, "Okay, but I should warn you that there is a statue of a naked man in there, wearing only a fig leaf." "Well, in that case, I'll just look the other way," said the nun, so the bartender showed the nun to the back of the restaurant. After a few minutes, she came back out, and the whole place stopped just long enough to give the nun a loud round of applause. She went to the bartender and said, "Sir, I don't understand. Why did they applaud for me just because I went to the restroom?" "Well, now they know you're one of us," said the bartender. "Would you like a drink?" "No, thank you, but I still don't understand," said the puzzled nun. "You see," laughed the bartender, "every time someone lifts the fig leaf on that statue, the lights go out." The day after her husband disappeared in a kayaking accident, an Anchorage woman answered her door to find 2 grim-faced Alaska State Troopers. "We're sorry, Mrs. Wilkins, but we have some information about your husband," said one trooper. "Tell me, did you find him?" Mrs. Wilkins asked. The troopers looked at each other. One said, "We have some bad news, some good news, and some really great news. Which do you want to hear first?" Fearing the worst, an ashen Mrs. Wilkins said, "Give me the bad news first." The trooper said, "I'm sorry to tell you, ma'am, but this morning we found your husband's body in Kachemak Bay." "Oh my God!" exclaimed Mrs. Wilkins. Swallowing hard, she asked, "What's the good news?" The trooper continued, "When we pulled him up, he had 8 25-pound king crabs and 4 good-sized Dungeness crabs clinging to him, and we feel you are entitled to a share in the catch." Stunned, Mrs. Wilkins demanded, "If that's the good news, what's the great news?" The trooper said, "We're going to pull him up again tomorrow." A man is dating 3 women and has to choose which one he'll marry. He decides to give them a test. He gives each woman a present of $5,000 and watches to see what she does with the money. The first woman does a total makeover. She goes to a fancy beauty salon, gets her hair done, new makeup, and buys several new outfits to look sexy for the man. She tells him that she has done this to be more attractive for him because she loves him so much. The man was impressed. The second woman goes shopping to buy the man gifts. She gets him a new set of golf clubs, some new gizmos for his computer, and some expensive clothes. As she presents these gifts, she tells him that she has spent all the money on him because she loves him so much. Again, the man is impressed. The third woman invests the money in the stock market. She earns several times the $5,000. She gives him back his $5,000 and reinvests the remainder in a joint account. She tells him that she wants to save for their future because she loves him so much. Obviously, the man was impressed. The man thought for a long time about what each woman had done with the money. Then he married the one with the biggest breasts. A woman died and went to heaven. She got to the pearly gates to find an angel waiting. "What do I have to do to get in?" she asked. "You just have to spell a word," the angel replied. "That doesn't sound bad. What word do I have to spell?" "Love." Relieved, the woman quickly fired off. "Love." The angel nodded and opened the gate. Many months passed, and one day, the angel guarding the gate approached the woman and asked if she would mind watching the gate for the day. The woman agreed and assumed her post. While she's there, a man approached the gate, and it was none other than her husband. "Oh, my love," she cried. "What has happened to you so soon? My dear, I was a wreck the day you left me. I fell into a deep depression that couldn't be beaten. When you were in that accident, I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat. I could do nothing but mourn for you." He said, "I hope you eventually were able to move on and not live with that pain for too long." She consoled. "Actually," he replied, "there was a nurse that took wonderful care of you and me as well. We eventually became very close and she helped me so much, I eventually asked her to marry me. We were on our honeymoon when I got into a terrible skiing accident. That's why I'm here. So, what do I have to do to get in?" "You simply have to spell a word," she informed him. "That's it? What a relief. What word do I have to spell?" he inquired. She replied, "Baccalaureate." A man walks into a bar with a box under his arm and says to the barman, "If I can show you something you have never seen before, will you give me a free drink?" Now the barman has seen mostly everything in his time, says, "Sure, impress me, and I'll give you a free tab for the night." So the man puts down the box and opens it. He then pulls a small piano out of it and places it on the bar, and then a little man as well. The little man walks up to the piano and starts playing. The barman was blown away by this and tells the man he can drink all night for free, as agreed. The barman then asks, "Where did you find the little man?" "Well," says the man, "I found this magic lamp." The man digs into the box and pulls out this old brass oil lamp. "I rubbed it and a genie appeared. The genie granted me one wish, and then he said I must pass the lamp on to the next person that did me a kindness." "Wow," says the barman. The man then says, "As you gave me free drinks, I'm going to let you have the lamp. Be careful what you wish for, though." So the barman rubs the lamp and then makes his wish. Next thing, the bar has ducks everywhere. The ducks are making one heck of a raucous, crapping all over the customers and bar. The barman shouts at the man saying, "I wished for $1,000,000, not 1,000,000 ducks." To this, the man replies, "And you think that I wished for a 12-inch pianist?" A cowboy swaggers into a bar and can't help but notice a horse standing in the corner. He says to the bartender, "I'll take a scotch, please." "And what's with the horse in the corner?" "See this pile of money?" the bartender says, showing him a jar stuffed full of bills. "If you can make that horse laugh, you can have all of it." "All right," said the cowboy. So our hero strutted over to the horse and whispered in his ear. The horse erupted into some serious horse laughter. The cowboy walked back to the bar, downed his scotch, grabbed his jar full of money, and left. A couple of weeks later, the cowboy returned to the bar. The horse was still in the corner. "Do I get more money if I make him laugh again?" the cowboy asked. "Heck no," the bartender said. "See this pile of money?" He showed him another jar stuffed full of bills. "If you can make that horse cry, you can have all of it." "All right," said the cowboy. So he strutted over to the horse, patted his nose, and led him outside to the alley. The man and the horse were in the alley for just a few minutes. When they returned, the horse was bawling his eyes out. The bartender was amazed. "Can I have my jar full of money?" the cowboy said. The bartender nodded. "But before I hand it over, you got to tell me. How did you do it?" "Well, to make him laugh," the cowboy said. "I told him that my manhood was a lot bigger than his." "You're kidding," the bartender said. "So how'd you make him cry?" "Well," the cowboy said, "when I took him out in the alley, I proved it." Subscribe to the channel. This is important. It will help me continue my work.